And we're live.
All right.
Sharon, do you want to take it?
Okay. Okay. Well, welcome everybody to Happy and Wise. I'm Sharon Hoffman. I'm here to guide us to our wisdom, that inner knowing that will solve any problem and bring any dream to life.
And I'm Chris Newth. I am an emotional intelligence coach here to break down emotions in a simple way so that you can find more happiness in your life. And this is Happy and Wise. This is the live stream we do. We do it every week, Thursdays at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. If you're tuning in, and I know we're just getting started, so I don't know who has trickled in yet or not, but if you're tuning in, make sure that you join the chat by commenting on this post, whether you're watching on Facebook or whether you're watching on YouTube, so that you can join the conversation. If you want to come up here with us and actually talk to us verbally or visually, you could just let us know in the comments and we'll send you a link, and then you can join us live on the chat. And we should probably mention that throughout the show too, just to remind people to do that.
Yes. And also it's Chris's YouTube channel and my Facebook page. So however you want to come into the mix, we're happy to have you here. Yeah. We are on Clubhouse regularly, and we have people from Clubhouse who tune in here as well, which is really nice to just grow the audience from multiple platforms. It's a beautiful world we live in terms of accessibility.
So connected. Yeah. I sometimes think about that, of how nice it is that anybody today could, there used to be a time where if you wanted to talk to people, you'd have to either go somewhere or start something or, get on the radio or TV or something. And now literally anyone, as long as they have an internet connection and some kind of, phone or device to get on, can talk to anyone in the world. And it's really cool.
For free.
For free. Yeah. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Today we're talking about the idea of tapping into your creativity and using the book, The Artist's Way, which
we each have our copy.
And I kind of want to, I learned about this book a few years ago. To give some context, I learned about it a few years ago. A friend of mine, my friend Joe, told me that he was doing it, or that he found it really helpful to him as a writer. And then my friends Jesse and Kyle last year were kind of doing it together, because it's like a 12-week course, basically, like a self course that you can read the book chapter in the book, follow some exercises, and then tap into your creativity. And then recently my friend Claire started doing it, and she joined a group that was doing it. And everyone that I know who has done it has had good things to say and has found value out of it. So I recently wanted to start. So I picked up the book. I'm in week 2 now, and it's so in alignment with what we talk about here that Sharon and I, we talked about how this could be a good option to talk about on the show. Right?
Yeah, why not? I actually have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a creative person by nature?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always have been. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, this is just helping nourish that ability that you already find accessible. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. What about you?
Totally. I know, first of all, I just want to say, I know that doing things creative scares the bejesus out of a lot of people. They feel like, I've heard a lot of people say, I'm not a creative person. It's even scary to me to do it. And I've seen people kind of fall apart in creative processes in different classes and stuff. So I know that it can be edgy for a lot of people. For me, it's like coming home. This is where I live and breathe. This is my comfort zone. Is in my anything creative. It could be baking, playing piano, doing improv, any way.
I think that's worth pointing out, because some people would never consider something like baking being creative, but it really is. And I think we sometimes limit ourselves by being super restrictive or like linear with the idea of what creativity means. It's not just writing and painting. It's also baking, expressing yourself in all kinds of ways. Like you can make a case that being creative is, going on walks is creative. being like talking, having full like conversations. What we're doing right now is creative. Like anything that can create a cool moment or express yourself from the inside out is a creative moment.
And I think that's it. It's like just letting that expression come out in all its natural glory. It's
Mm,
unfiltered. I think that's the thing about creative energy that I find so freeing and wonderful is
mhm.
there's no filter. It's getting out of the mind and letting things just express in their natural way. So this is what I love. It's kind of like riding a roller coaster. You just get
Mm.
to go with the moves of the you just let go. You put your arms up, you scream, you just have a ball
Yeah.
because you're getting taken for a wild ride, I guess is the point.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, tapping into your creativity kind of feels like you're letting something it's almost like it's letting something else flow through you, and so you even get surprised with it, of what comes out, of what comes onto the page, or what comes out of your mouth, or whatever. So that's
Yeah,
true too.
absolutely. I remember many years ago, I took a class in what was called creative expression, and there were a couple of rules for each of us. You were supposed to just naturally express. So because of that, a lot of people had been daunted because they had taken art class and things where it's a formal education and then you go through what's called critique, and people just kind of tear down your work for technical things you didn't do right. It's not about
Mm.
expressing for for the sake of natural expression. It's for learning different techniques. It's a
Oh,
very
uh-huh.
different animal, right? So a lot of people had a lot of baggage, let's say, that they brought with them. And so one of the rules was if you're going to comment about somebody's work, is never about it being good or bad. Not even good. Not I
Mm.
love this, how great it is, because then their inner critic might be like, no, it's not. The circle's not
Mm.
perfect. So you want to keep that at bay, whatever critical mindset any of us might have. In order to keep it unfiltered, it's just a pure expression. There's no right or wrong about it. So even in commenting, it's not about it being good or bad. It might be something like, the colors are so vivid. They really reach inside me. So now that's not making it a good or bad. It's just what you observe
Mhm.
in someone else's expression. I never forgot that because
Mm.
that's a difference between art and creativity. I think it's just important to point that.
Wow, that's I've never thought about it like that either. That's really nice. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you have any experience with this book before? Have you like, did you okay, a little behind the scenes. I brought this up, I don't know if it was last week or something like that, of like maybe it would be a good idea to do this. And then you happened to own the book. And
Yeah.
a few days after mentioning it, you sent me a picture that you found it in your house. So you have it. Did you read any of it? Do you know anything? What was your experience with it?
Okay, so this is wild. So this book, and I didn't think I would have given it away because it was given to me by somebody. See, it has a nice inscription
Oh, yeah.
many, many years ago, and I never read it.
Oh,
It was very popular back then, and I never read it precisely because I thought, oh, I don't feel like I need to cultivate it. Like it's so alive in me, my creative energy. But you're the second person in 1 week who mentioned this book
in 1 week.
in 1 week, and I pay
Wow.
attention to those things, right? So I
Yeah.
thought, I don't think I would have gotten rid of this book, even though I know I didn't read it. So I found it and I did start reading it, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, this lines up completely
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
what I know to be true, what I believe, and everything you said. Yeah.
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 It lines up with the stuff we talk about. And
Oh, yeah.
so I did get inspired because you were talking about the morning pages, which I've heard many people talk about. And what that is for people who don't know in the artist way, it's first thing in the morning, longhand, you write in an actual on paper 3 pages stream of consciousness. You don't think about it, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't have to be complete sentences, can be like I went shopping yesterday, could be whatever.
Yeah, it could literally be anything. And the concept of them is to not think of, you can't get them wrong. You can't do it wrong. It's just you could even literally be writing like I don't know what to say. I don't know
Mhm.
what to write. I don't know what is really to do right now. This is kind of aimless and boring. Whatever it is, you can't do it wrong. It's just writing out your thoughts.
Freeze
And
your
as
mind.
you do that more, some
Yeah.
cool things can come out of that.
Cool thing. So I thought, well, I want to try this out. So tomorrow morning, I'll try the morning pages and just tell me, have you been doing that? You said you're 2 weeks in. So have you been doing morning pages every day?
Yeah, so the book basically is broken down into 12, I believe, 12 weeks, and there's different exercises that it will give you each week. However, the two things that are consistent through all the weeks, one of them is morning pages and the other is the artist date, which we'll talk about in a little while.
The
But
artist's date?
the artist date, yes.
Date. Okay.
So but the morning, as far as the morning pages, yeah, so I started them on, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, on the in the very beginning of March. And I had some cool realizations. So the first time I did, the first day I did it, I was I had written something to the effect of like, I'm not feeling as comedic as I normally am. Like I don't feel as I just don't feel like I'm the I used to be a very jokey, very like I don't know, my mind would work in jokes. Like I would that would be like how my mind, this is just like how I operated all through, up through my TV days too. And just lately I haven't felt that. I just haven't felt it.
In
And
a way where it's felt like it's been missing? Like you
in a
wish
way that,
you got it back?
yes, but in a way that it felt like, I don't know, not like it was getting in my, not like it was on my mind all the time, but just as it was, but it's something that I was consciously like noting recently that I haven't, I don't know. I've even like I don't laugh as much, or I haven't been laughing as much as I
Mm,
wanted to in the
okay.
last, couple months or whatever.
Yeah.
And this was coming out on the page though. And this is kind of the beauty of morning pages, is it kind of reveals to you what's going on in your inner thoughts that maybe you're not paying a lot of attention to, that maybe you should. And so um as I continued writing those pages, in the same exact day, I started noting that I also haven't that I would like to start watching more comedy. Like that's what came to me, is like, what if I, maybe the reason that I'm not feeling comedic and I'm not, is because like I lately have been absorbing so much personal development content, spiritual content, self self-help content. Like I'm constantly listening to podcasts and YouTube videos about people talking about how to better their life and how to find themselves, and that's beautiful and great, and I love that. It's very fulfilling. But I think I'm doing it, or I have been doing it to at a level that's like taking over in a way, or not allowing myself to express in different ways.
Okay,
And
I have a
so,
question for you about that.
yeah, yeah,
Do you think maybe you wanna add a more comedic feature into doing what you do now?
yeah,
Talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
your
yeah.
personal stuff? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for like the last year or so, and I've actually found trouble. Like this has been a challenge for me. The challenge of, how can I marry these two worlds that I love so much? Like how can I marry the comedy that I grew up uh, loving and writing and surrounding myself with the uh, with the emotional, mental emotional coaching stuff that I do now. How can I bring the, because I also found, and I've been telling my friends this for the last year or so, but I get too earnest talking about this. Like I know it's so dramatically helpful that whenever I'm talking about it, even here in this forum, like I could get too serious in a way. Like I know it's not supposed, it can be lighthearted, it can be fun. And in fact, that's actually good. Like that's helpful. But sometimes, because I know it can help so much, I'm too serious about it in my mind, of like how I talk about it. And so I've been wanting to be more lighthearted and jokey and have that kind of thing. So in these morning pages, I continued writing and I realized like, oh, I'm not taking in a lot of comedy right now. So I watched Conan at the Oscars, and I watched his
Me
monologue, and I watched
too.
the
He was good,
goofiness.
right?
So good. Oh my God. He's
Yeah.
on top of his game. He's like right in his element. He's doing his thing.
Yep.
It's so Conan. It's so like his brand of like nonsense, absurdist, like just goofy, lighthearted, fun,
Yeah.
taking a really fun world of like the Dune monster that plays instruments or whatever, into
Oh,
this
yeah.
very
That was
serious.
funny.
Yes. And that's classic him, in this
Mm.
very like serious space where everyone's taking themselves seriously and they're all dressed up and they're all like celebrating this art, which is important as well. But but I love the absurdist, like nonsense, reminding all of us, hey, let's not take life so seriously. Let's not take anything too
Yeah, it's
seriously.
like it's the role of the jester, right? Even back
Yes.
in the days
Yes.
of the court, when it's like serious business with the royals, there always was a jester to
Yes.
poke fun, and that's a pretty mythical character, a really important character throughout stories and mythology is the jester. Yeah.
And
Or
it's
the fool.
probably because it's important to have that element in
It
our own
is,
life. It's a reflection of a
right?
piece of us that we should infuse in all of our lives
Yeah.
so that we don't end up being too serious about life and taking it too seriously. So I listened to that. I watched some comedy videos. I listened to a comedy podcast about comedians like breaking down jokes. And it was just such a, uh, I don't know, freeing experience of doing that, and helped me start to and I realized as I was writing these morning pages, I was like, oh, I can see how if I take in more comedy, my mind will naturally start operating with a more comedic, it will start spotting more jokes. It'll start doing what it wants to do in a more creative way. And I noticed it has. So I started adding more jokes to the emails that I write. And it just sort of naturally is coming back to me because I'm swimming in it more. And so this is for me what the morning pages, even on day one, helped me with. And so it's super important. It can help you kind of figure out some things in your life that you've been trying to work out and maybe you haven't been able to solve.
Yeah. I think there really is something to this aspect when it comes to creativity or really anything where we want to be in balance with ourselves around that is this idea of likening it to a breath cycle, having a breath in and a breath out. And so the breath in is taking in the comedy of others, right? And then it
Mm.
fuels being able to breathe out that comedy into your work. I mean, there's something about that full cycle of a breath that helps the momentum to keep going. So I
Ooh, I
love that
love that
you're talking
analogy,
about that.
Sharon. I love that. That's
Oh,
so you too, by the way, just like
it
that.
is so me, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it.
I just feel steeped in creativity. I mean, not only was I my exposed to a lot of things at an early age, dance and music and stuff like formally, but that was really encouraged in me. I mean, I used to write plays for fun and put them on in the backyard with my
Ooh.
friends. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
if you and for anybody out there who might be thinking, well, I'm not creative, you are. And think back to a time when you were a child at play and what were the kinds of things you do. Like if you watch kids now, it's no different really than when any of us were kids.
Mm.
Is you play and you make up games and you make up the rules as you go and then you
Make believe,
change the
pretend.
rules,
Yes, of course.
pretend. That's all very creative stuff. You're just in the moment, you're in it, you're not thinking, oh, I can't do that, I can't
Hmm.
change that rule. You just are hunkered into just the joy of
Yes.
play is
Yes. Yes.
basically right.
Yes.
And don't we all want more of that in our lives? So is that why this thing, noticing the absence of humor in your life like it used to be and wanting to bring it back, is this why the artist way now, or is there more to this? Like why this now?
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of it. Because I truly believe, and we've talked about this before too, but whenever we have a dream or a desire, a goal in mind, even if we don't know how to get there, the universe does, our intuition, our heart
Yeah.
does. And so it leads us to the people, the resources, the books that might be able to help
Yeah.
us
It's another
find that.
tool. It's a tool, right?
It's a tool.
Yeah.
So I don't truly know if this is like, if my, seeking this, how do I marry these two worlds that I really like? If this is the way to do that, but it might be, and I guess I'll find out. But it could absolutely be, or it could be other part. Maybe there are other pieces of that I'm just. I mean, I'm taking so many notes in this book. I'm truly like highlighting and like writing in it. Like I'm truly like, it's like a
Wow, look at that.
textbook to me.
Yeah.
Like I am,
Mhm.
and there's so many elements of how uh, Julia, the author, teaches that is so in line with what we talk about here every week.
Yeah.
And in fact, like
Mhm.
just the idea of like she's teaching how to tap into your creativity, but you can replace even the word creativity for anything good, and it's the same method she's asking you of how to guide you to that. You can find love that way, you can find excitement that way, you can find peace that way, you can find joy that way. And
That's
so,
very exciting. Yeah, to think of it that.
right,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
because what she's basically doing is teaching us how to tap into a certain headspace, a certain
Yeah.
vibe. And that creativity is on the same vibe as, excitement and passion and bliss and joy and peace.
Yeah.
So,
It's like be open, let
yeah,
things flow through you, you know,
that's
it
right.
just be a full expression, unfiltered of what
That's right.
wants to move through you naturally. It's
Yeah.
that's really the essence of it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And
Totally.
so we are all the creators of our lives, and it begins with just our imaginations. So the more
Hmm.
open, curious, imaginative we can be, we can make room for that in our lives. It can serve every a purpose, like you said. I love that you said that in every facet of our lives. And
Hmm.
it's recalling a time when I was coaching a client a while back who was trying to get to the next place in his career. And I said, well, tell me the things that you're really passionate about, that you're really great at out of what you do.
Hmm.
And he's naming all these things. And I said, wow, that's a really special skill set when you put those specific things together. And, that's really marketable because you get to make up your job. You really do. We all
Mm.
do. I said, "You get to make it up." And he looked at me like, "I do?" And he kinda lit up. He's like, "I do," because
Mm.
he was at a high level, and when you put forward, "Here's what I do really well," it might not fit into a slot. And so I
Right.
got him to break out of the box of, "I've got a slot in somewhere," to, "No, I get to make this up."
Mm.
And go and offer what I'm better at than most anybody, because he had a really unique bunch of things when you put them together that were very special. And so that's how
Mm.
creativity can move in us when we let it.
Mm.
Just
That's so freeing. Just
it's
like
very
that.
freeing.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So so that's the morning pages. The second piece of this book that they recommend, or that she recommends doing on a weekly basis. Morning pages are a daily thing, but something called the artist date is a weekly thing where you just take time to go do something on your own. That's the rule of the artist date: is you're not bringing any friends, you're not bringing kids, you're not bringing your spouse, you're not bringing anybody. You're just by yourself. And it could be going anywhere and doing anything that creative. It could be going to a museum, it could be going to watch a movie, it could be going on a walk in a different neighborhood than you're normally used to. It could literally be anything, but just spending time with yourself. And
Oh, so you
there's
weren't meant to bring anybody along, just for you. It's just for
just for
okay.
you, so that you can fully like take in the moment and kind of notice things you wouldn't be noticing if you didn't have someone there, talking your head off. So yeah, like
I
just
see.
spending time with yourself out in the world somewhere, doing something.
And so what kinds of things appeal to you? Have you made a list, or something come to mind as we're talking about this for you?
Yeah, there's an exercise in the book that's really that's really cool. That's basically like list out the things that you've enjoyed doing in your life. Like list them out. List 20 things that you enjoy doing: playing basketball, playing badminton, going on bike rides, whatever, going bowling, whatever the things are. and then you can use those as your artist date. Like you pick the things that you put on your list as a thing that it gives you an excuse to go do that thing that you enjoy, but maybe haven't done in a while, maybe years, maybe since you were a kid, and just like something that's fulfilling and something that's exciting that you can go do. I haven't, well, I guess I've done some accidental artist dates, but I didn't like purposely go on one. I didn't purposely say, okay, this is my artist date, but I have done a few things in the last week that, that like riding my bike in different neighborhoods or whatever, that kind of is time that I'm spent. I also find that just naturally, I do spend a lot of time by myself in ways that are very fulfilling and uh, uh, introspective and make me feel good. Do you, Sharon, like feel like you spend time with yourself, and is that important to you?
Very important, and I
Mm-hmm.
do. And I think of I think I do these artist days all the time just
Oh,
naturally.
uh-huh.
But maybe in a little different way, like I knew I wanted more dance in my life because that's something I
Mm,
love from when I was younger, but there's something, again, really liberating when you just move your body to music that's really different than when we're up here trying to,
right.
figure out AI or marketing strategies for the blah, blah,
Yes.
blah, all the stuff that's up
Yeah.
and up in the head. And then somebody said to me, I think you want more dance in your life. I think that would be really good for you. And it
Mm.
was just struck a chord. And so then I started looking for it, and right in my backyard. I mean, I went to a Bollywood dance class last night.
Oh,
I had a
cool.
blast. Yeah. And then last weekend, this open floor dance, it's authentic movement, which is where they have a DJ. It's like a daytime rave,
Mm,
but it's not about dancing with other people. In fact, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be very careful about making contact with other people, and because everyone's to be in their own space,
mm,
moving in their own way. It's not about trying to dance. It's about trying to move in the way your body wants to move with that particular beat that's
mm.
happening. And let me tell you, this has been going on, I found out, for decades. 100 people who come each time, and
Whoa.
there are even more men than women. It is, I'm telling you, Chris, this blew my mind the first time I went. And for 2 hours, DJ, 2 hours, 100 people all over this big gym space.
Cool.
So cool that I was telling some friends of mine about it, thinking, "Oh god, this is like would be out there outside their comfort zone." And they're like,
Mm.
"Really? We wanna go." And I'm like, "You
Re-
do?" And
Whoa.
they went with me the second time I went.
Cool. Okay.
Oh my god, yeah. And one of them was just talking about it to me last night, saying, I'm so glad I did that because I was caught up in my head in the beginning of it. It
Hmm.
took me a while to move down and into my body and free. And I really think that's what this is about, unleashing Artist's Way. It's about a kind of a practice you can plug into to help release inhibitions. It's not about trying to perform or please anybody. It's really just about how you want to express in the
Yeah.
moment. And that's what this open floor dance in Sausalito is. And I
That's so
even
cool.
ran into people I know. I mean, it was just really something, you
That's
know.
so cool. I'm glad. So
Super
you
cool.
do this naturally already. Is like going
I
out,
do.
spending time fulfilling
Yeah.
what brings you happiness and joy and expressing yourself in different ways.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But you know what? Like the next person, I get caught up in my ruts too. And I really identify with what you were saying about I love humor and bringing more of that in. I want to laugh more. Right a block away from me is a theater that has comedy night every Tuesday night. And every Tuesday night comes and I don't go. And I'm like, why am I not
Mm,
going to their comedy night more? I haven't been in a long time. So I'm just
that's a
gonna
good artist date.
that goes on
That's a
my
good.
list as an artist. Yeah, yeah,
Hell yeah. Great. Okay, cool. Man, and Bollywood dancing, like that's such a specific type. Like that's such a
yeah.
specific thing. Also, is the thing about that like you dance for like 5 hours straight because that's what Bollywood movies are. They're like 5 hour
Oh my
epic
god. You know what? So
musicals.
the woman who teaches it is from Mumbai, Bombay, and the music, she said, is a classic piece from a Bollywood movie,
Mm.
and she told us all the name of the movie. I can't wait to watch this movie. It's on Netflix, but a classic Bollywood romance, which I love those, all the dancing. But our class was only an hour, not 5.
They cap it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It doesn't
Yeah.
go on and on and on. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's the artist date. And then there's also a concept she talks about, which I love, which the artist date kind of does, but it's just a more general concept of that she calls filling the well, which
Okay.
is like we have this well of creativity in us that and but if we don't fill it, if we're constantly just giving our energy, constantly just giving and never replenishing it, never filling our own well, then we it gets hard, we get empty of it's not actually empty because we always can tap into an endless well, as we talk about here a lot, but just the concept of like if you're not doing things that fulfill you, if you're not doing things that you enjoy, if you're not doing things that excite you and following your passions and doing what's fun and just enjoying your life, you're not going to have the ability to easily um, express like you want to or have the energy even to do that. So it's super important to fill your well, however, whatever that is needed for you. Do you kind of like resonate with that concept?
I totally do. And in fact, it's reminding me of what we spoke about a few weeks ago when we were talking about Gay Hendricks' book, The Zone of Genius Zone. And
Hmm.
that's what he likens it to, the genius zone. If you're spending more and more time in your genius zone, it's where you really get lit up on the inside. It's the things that we're passionate about, whatever
Hmm.
that might be. But if we fritter away our time or make it a priority to get all the easy checked items off, right? Like clean the car, um, grocery shop, that's just draining stuff if you put it first. But
Hmm.
it's the stuff that like getting humor in, whatever
Yeah.
it might be that really lights us up, if we make that first. So sometimes I will get in that rut. I will readily admit where, hey, the thing that's low hanging fruit, it would be so easy to just go through my inbox and my email, or just go run to the store and do those errands. And then I run out of juice and
Hmm.
now I haven't been spending time in this place that Julia Cameron talks about in The Artist Way, or that Gay Hendricks talks about in Your Zone of Genius, which is that thing that's that passion that lives in us to light us up. So I then think about, yeah, I want to reorient so that even though I may have those things that have to get done, let me spend time in my happy place first. And for a
Mm.
lot of people, that's counter to what we're taught, right? Do
Right.
do the
Right.
hard stuff first,
Right. Take
or the
care of
stuff
what's
you don't
needed
want
and
to do,
then have fun.
and then
Right.
you get your dessert after. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
understand, and I've done this at parties where I serve dessert first. Let's make sure.
Really?
Oh,
How'd
yeah.
that go?
Oh my God, everybody loved it. And then they're like, "Well, can we also have dessert after?" I said, "Of course you can." So we had bookend desserts. Okay, why not? We get to make this up. Again, we get
Yeah.
to make it up. Why do we hold out on ourselves? Yeah, let's have fun first, because now that's going to be the fuel. That's
Yeah.
creativity. Now we're getting lit up. We get way more energy, you know?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this is what happened to me yesterday, Chris. My energy was so low that I felt like canceling my Clubhouse, which is this talk show I've been doing. I
Wow.
know, twice a
Whoa.
week for 3 years. And I was like, I just don't know if I'm up for it. But then I thought, well, I know it always energizes me because it is
Yeah.
my zone of genius. It is my creative passion. And so I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And we all had a ball. I mean, we had so much fun.
Mm.
And then I thought, how am I possibly going to have the energy to go to Bollywood dance? I'm going to have to cancel out of that too.
Oh,
This
the
was
dance was after
after
Clubhouse?
after Clubhouse.
Whoa.
Imagine. And it's just wintry, it's raining, it's miserable out, and it's just like a hunker down. But I didn't feel good. Like, I was just what you were saying. I didn't have that energy. I got so pumped up from Clubhouse, because it always does that, because it is that passion for me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, of course, I am passionate about the dance, that I totally had energy to do. I had a ball. I sweated my butt off.
Mm.
And I came home so happy. So I had all of these several hours in my passion. But imagine if I had flipped it, right?
Right.
then I wouldn't have been in that low energy place to begin with. So I definitely need those reminders.
Yeah, Clubhouse is your dessert.
It's my dessert. Yeah, I get to have it first. What about you? Like, do you find you're reorienting things in your day or doing things you wouldn't normally because you're in this artist way practice?
Uh, Long before Artist's Way, I've been living this sort of like the ask and it is given way of like just uh, prioritizing my happiness and my fun on purpose because I know that it puts me in good headspaces that will help me with anything else. And so, even though it's a little counterintuitive, this is what I teach people how to do, which is like do those things that are fun. By the way, if you're here watching and I see there are some people watching, please feel free to join us in this conversation. Chat us in
Yeah.
the
I'm
comments.
just looking in the chat. I don't see anything right now.
Yeah, comment in the chat if you have any add-ons for or thoughts, comments on the Artist's Way or anything we're talking about, or if you want to jump on and talk to us, you're welcome. Just let us know in the comments, and we'll send you a link, and you
Enter
can
the
come
link.
in with us and talk. We're going to be here for another 20 minutes or so, so feel free to do that. We want this to be an open conversation,
We
but
sure do.
but I will say that I've been living this sort of follow the fun mentality for a while now, and it truly works, and it's logical why it does. I do what I find to be fun, and if for some reason something doesn't feel fun to me, I choose as often as I can not to do it at that time. And it's a little counterintuitive because you feel like you're not being responsible sometimes because you're not like, but I do find that when I do that, I have the energy, I have the bandwidth, I
That's
have
it.
the excitement, I
Yeah.
have the flow, I have the clarity to so that when I get to do the things that are important or the things that feel maybe a little bit more like work, they don't end up feeling like work. They just feel like the natural flow of what I wanted. Because I will tell you this, like there are times where I don't want to do the laundry or the dishes or whatever, the boring household stuff,
Right.
right? But if I get into good mood, if I'm like
Yeah,
dancing around to music, or if I'm
exactly.
listening to a fun podcast, or if I'm like whatever that thing is, if I'm choosing, there are so many times where in the middle of that activity, I don't even it's not even a second thought. It's like, well, why don't I just do the laundry now? Like what? And it becomes this where it becomes almost like this invisible thing where I do it, and then afterwards I look back and I'm like really proud of myself that I did all these things today, but it almost doesn't even I almost don't even remember that I did it because they kind of just naturally flowed in the
They
day
were
however they
flow.
did.
Yeah, you're in your flow in that.
Yeah, in flow. So yeah, I really recommend people prioritize that happiness and that fun and that adventure and that excitement, however it is that, and that's always going to be different for all of us what that is. Some of us
Yeah.
like different things, but it connects us to ourselves and then helps everything else become easier and smoother, and you just kind of want to do that other stuff.
Yeah, I wanna say to everybody out there who's watching this, whether you're watching it live or recorded, that let's all, and I include Chris, you and I in this, let's all give ourselves permission for that, to lead with the fun, with the joy, with what we're
Yeah.
passionate about, knowing that it will fuel us, give us so much energy. We'll be living into our creative selves,
Yeah.
and that's gonna give us infinite energy to do everything that's on the list that has to get done.
Yeah.
If we put that stuff first, we just tamp down our creative selves, our joy, that energy that is boundless. So let's release it by having dessert first. What does that
Yes,
mean
yes,
for you,
yes,
right?
yes.
Are you I mean, it sounds like you've long ago given yourself permission for that, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
don't
And I
feel
will
bad about it at all, do you?
not no, because I've once you do it, you'll see like that it's helpful and it's beneficial. It's to our advantage. And I will say, like, if you're not doing it this way and you're kind of feeling like you're in a rut, what do you have to lose? Like, try a different way. If something's not working for you, try a different way. And I'm telling you, like, prioritize your headspaces, prioritize what feels good so that you can be in flow more often, so that you can have access to your clarity more often, so that you can be more receptive to things, so that you can have greater bandwidth to deal with things. Just do what's fun and follow your heart, even if it feels a little, I don't know, uh irresponsible to put something off, even if it feels a little
Yeah,
like,
let's not judge it. Let's not
let's not
call it
judge it.
irresponsible. Let's not judge it.
Yeah.
Let's say we're prioritizing things correctly because
Yeah.
everything's gonna get done.
Yeah.
Everything will get
Yes.
done. We're just reordering things.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh, I
reorder
love that.
things.
That's a
Yeah.
great reframe. Yes. You're
Mhm.
just reordering things
Yeah.
and waiting for the right moments because, like
Right.
there are times where I do love being productive in like a household chores kind of way. So it's
Right.
not like I don't like, and you also know that deep down you like a clean house, you like having clothes to wear, you like, getting your stuff done, you like getting your to-do list things checked off. Like we do like that stuff, but we don't like it sometimes right away. We don't like it first thing. We don't like it right in this moment. But you're eventually going to do those things. But get in flow first. Get in flow first and then let flow take care of everything else.
Yep. Well said.
I love that. Okay, cool. Well, so this book Artist Way, you're going to get started with it,
I'm gonna
right?
start with my morning pages,
Okay,
and I'm gonna
great.
take myself out to some comedy. That'll be an artist date.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Amazing.
it's funny. I hadn't thought, let me do this on my own, right?
Mm,
I thought, well, this is something to do with a friend, but the artist date needs to be just on your own. So,
just you. Yeah.
okay, I'll just give myself an invitation to go to Tuesday comedy on my own.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Do you like to do things on your own? Do you like to like go to I've only been to like a movie by myself once.
You
And
know, I
it felt a
I
little weird, honestly.
I know, right? I do a lot of things by myself. I walk in the woods. A lot of things like that, but certain things, again, yes, like going to the movies, I like doing in the company of another person.
Mhm.
And live theater, including comedy, I think of as something I like to do with another person, just sharing the experience together.
Mhm.
So it's okay. I mean, I literally just have to walk out my door and go a block, and there's the theater. So again, I've got nothing to lose by trying that experience.
Yeah.
Especially, I think this is the thing, especially if it calls out to me on a particular Tuesday. I can be spontaneous. That's the thing about it. I can be spontaneous. I don't need to
That's
line up
right.
with anybody
That's
else,
right.
right? Because
That's
it's
right.
just for me.
That's
So
right.
I like that reminder. So thank you for that reminder from
Great. Okay,
artists. Yeah.
cool. Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Amazing. And then next week we can meet up and oh my God, I just
Right.
remembered that we have a question from
Oh,
somebody
oh, we
that
do?
that left on one of my YouTube videos and I
Oh,
want to pull it up. Uh,
okay. How
uh,
exciting.
yeah. How did this come to me? But I don't know why I just remembered to do this, but I'm glad I did. Let's see. It was from our friend Sakina.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Sakina, who is
Sakina.
our Clubhouse friend. Yeah.
Yes, we met her on Clubhouse. She watches the live stream. I don't know if she's on here live, but she said, and I don't know what this is referring to. I'm just going to read her comment and we'll see. Um, what if you're in a situation where you are told by someone that they want you to do something that you don't want to do, even after you told them that you're not interested in doing that thing? The person still wants you to do it. As a result of not obeying them, this person puts you in a situation where you have to do that thing that they want you to do no matter what, question mark, because you can't turn back to not doing that thing that you were told to do by that person. You have to agree to disagree. How do you make peace with being in a situation where you're going to have to agree to disagree with someone even though you're not happy in that situation?
Hmm.
It's a full question. I
Mhm.
don't know the context. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of detail. It's
No.
kind of just a generic question about
Mhm.
when you don't feel like doing something, but someone else wants you to.
Yeah. Which
How do you?
many of us are faced with a lot of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, yeah. What do you got?
thoughts?
Well, I mean, I used to be one of those people who would not even think about it. I would just say yes if it was an invitation. Some part of me felt an obligation to say yes if the time was free in my calendar.
Ah,
And
uh-huh.
yeah, right? Like I don't have a legitimate reason to say no. Now what I know is that the legitimate reason is if I don't want to.
That's all the reason we need. I
That's
think that's
all
such an
the
important.
reason. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So legitimate, right? So
Yeah.
and we don't have to be mean about it. We don't have to lie. We don't have to be unkind about it So it can be sometimes it's practicing how to say no in a way that feels like it is compassionate and it's being true to ourselves. It's being compassionate with ourselves and then
Yeah.
also by extension with another. Being doing what we really want doesn't have to mean it comes at the cost of doing wrong by somebody else. It's not doing them wrong at all. I mean,
Mhm.
their response is up to them. But if we say it in a loving way, but we're super clear energetically, we're less likely to get challenged. So it might be something like, I love the invitation. Thank you so much. I'm just not up to it this time around, but check
Mhm.
in with me another time.
Yeah,
Or
totally. Yes.
something that just is very simple, short, and clear. I mean, if
Yeah.
our energy is clear, we're not gonna get challenged on it. I think it's when we're like, "Oh, I feel the pull of obligation," and then we come
Yep.
across as wishy-washy, then, the person who may try to guilt us into it may just go there, but it's in a way that's an extension of our own inner thoughts or beliefs about it. So get clear first on the inside, mentally rehearse saying no with compassion toward
Yeah.
ourselves and others. What do you have to add to that, Chris?
I mean, I think this is as a former people pleaser, as a former person who felt very obligated to do things that I didn't want to do, go to place I would go to parties I didn't want to go to events or social stuff I wasn't really interested in or that I even had anxiety about, but feeling that there was pressure or obligation or guilt that would happen if I didn't do that, and just not knowing my freedom. Like I truly lived a life where it didn't even occur to me that I could say no without there being like repercussions of that, negative repercussions.
Yeah, because
And
because we're conditioned, right? We're conditioned about the polite society saying yes. Oh, how lovely, get an invitation. Of
don't
course,
be selfish. Don't be
that's right.
selfish.
It's selfish if you say no or if you're not in the mood. That's selfish. It is not. It is actually being mean to ourselves.
It's
It's
being
being really
authentic. Yeah, exactly.
to
It's
ourselves.
not being authentic to us when
That's
we do
right.
that. And so
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 why would
yeah,
you be willing to do an unkindness to yourself in order to do a perceived kindness to another? It's not really giving if it's
right.
taking from you.
Right, right. I like to here's a cheat code that I like to use is uh, uh, try to think of everything as you want a win-win for everybody involved. And if something's not a win for them, it's not a win. And if something's not a win for you, it's not a win and it's not worth doing. And so only do
Good.
things that you feel like would be wins for you and the other party or parties involved. So uh,
Right.
allowing yourself and the power, and that comes with the power of declining things or saying no. You could do it in a polite, loving, caring way, but being able to express that and say, I'm just not into this, or this is not the right time for me, or I just don't feel like it, or I'm just not in the right kind of headspace, or whatever it is that you want to say. You don't even have to defend yourself. You don't even have to give a reason. You could just say no. And then there's a real power to that. But I used to be someone who didn't, and it would cause me to, I think it was one of the greatest contributors to my anxiety in those days was just a string of, because it feels powerless when you
Yeah.
continue to agree to things and are scared of how other people are going to act or what they're going to say or how they're going to treat you or what's going to happen. It's like finally getting to a point where like I mean constant caving comes with a sense of anxiety and fear and stress and worry and just it's not worth it's not worth it. And so I'm so happy that I found the freedom, and I'm hoping that talking to other people that might be watching, and being able to word it in a way that I was never, because here's the thing, I was never told, or maybe I was and I just didn't realize it, but that these options were that I should say no to things, that I should decline things, that I should. So, so I guess I just want to give everyone out there permission, if you're looking for that, or a voice to say, you don't have to do the things you don't want to do. It's okay to decline. And you can't control how another person might respond to that. That's on them. But truly, if other people respond negatively to you saying no to stuff that you don't feel comfortable with, or you're not ready for, or you don't want to do, maybe they're not someone that you want very close in your life. Maybe you don't want to spend much time with them anyway. So have the freedom and the independence and the autonomy to be able to say no, while also knowing that there's going to be plenty of things and plenty of opportunities where you're going to say yes because it's fun or exciting, and those will be moments that you do spend time with them, or that you, and a lot of times people are going to ask you things and it's going to be an absolute yes because it's just so, it feels so good to you. And in those times you're on the same page, it's a win-win, then you can connect and do the thing and it'll be fun. But otherwise, uh, please be autonomous to yourself. Please exercise your freedom to be able to say no when you don't want to do something. Sharon, did you bring us into your kitchen? What are we doing?
I did. So I am honoring my dog's request. I got the nudge. I got the nudge from my dog,
Okay.
who, they can't talk, right?
Yeah.
So I'm making her meal right now, which is some rice
Ooh.
and some turkey. So
Oh,
yes,
fancy. Do you have more, and can you send some?
I know, right?
This sounds
It's
good.
totally people grade food. It's really nice
Oh,
quality turkey meat, fresh cooked, and
lucky
rice.
pup.
Yeah,
I
I
love
know.
it.
Yeah, she's my sweet girl. She's getting older now. She's around 12, so I trying to pamper her more and meet her
Mm.
needs. Yeah, makes me happy too.
So
So
it's a win-win.
it is a win-win. And
Great.
that's the thing I wanted to say in response to what you were just saying is this is how we learn and grow. Is there are times when we don't really honor what we truly want and do
Mm.
something out of obligation, and then the great invitation in it is when we notice how we feel on the inside, when we feel drained, when we don't feel good, we can then either make a decision to leave. Oh gosh, I really didn't want to be here, now it doesn't feel good, so I'm going to go
Hmm.
and I'm going to make my excuses, or afterwards be like, wow, I really didn't want to, and this is what it feels like when I force myself.
Mm.
So let me think of a really good way to not force myself that feels good to me. How can I express that? And sometimes a little rehearsal, just how to
Mm.
find the words that are a kindness, delivered with kindness to the person we're turning down. So it doesn't have to be a rejection. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be something, it's not unkind to look out for ourselves. And
Right.
even, I'm just thinking about it as we're talking about this, that even to say, I'm sure you've been there where you're just not up to something and you
Hmm.
don't feel like forcing yourself. And so that's where I am. It's not about you. It's just my energy right now is not in it. But next time, please keep me in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's such a loving way to turn somebody down. How can they argue with that? You're,
Yeah.
you're telling them you're sure they've been there too. And of course they have, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing that's coming to mind now as you're saying this is also
Yeah.
just starting to establish that this is just the way you live your life. That you say no to things, you say yes to things. It really depends on how you're feeling and what calls you, what your heart's calling for. And once I started more consciously living my life, my friends, the people who are in my life, they understand that I truly like have uh, a rule. It's a rule is a hard way to say it. It's not as that as rigid as that, but it's
Okay.
an approach where they know I'm only going to follow my heart. And if my heart doesn't feel good about it, I'm going to say no. And it has nothing to do with them. It's not something personal. It's not that whatever. It's not personal. It's just how my heart feels, and I have to follow that because I've been to, God, I just have this such a clear memory of this event that I went to. It was like a party. I can't remember what the specific occasion was,
Okay.
but uh, but we went, and I felt guilt. I didn't want to go, but
Um,
I felt guilty to not go, and I felt obligated to go because I said I would go. And then I went, and I had this miserable time to the point where people were asking other people about me, like, is Chris okay? Like, he's does
oh,
not look,
wow.
yeah, he looks very stressed out. He looks like, like, is he all right? And that's not the energy you want to bring to places anyway. So I
Right.
now know that it's okay to just say no, just be able to do that. And because I've sort of established myself as this person that only does basically what my heart cares about and wants and only goes for win-win situations,
Yeah.
the people around me kind of know that. So they understand that and they appreciate that. They acknowledge that. And by the way, it goes it's a two-way street. If I invite someone to something, or if I really want someone to do something and they don't want to for any reason, they know that they could say no to me and I will honor that. I appreciate that. I actually, not that I like that, but I like that people are able to express themselves in that way to me, in this authentic way to me. And then so they know that I'm an easy person to say no to. Although I will say that because of that freedom, it's rare. It rarely happens, right? Like because that's the other thing we have to mention. Like, just because you say no to things sometimes doesn't mean that that's it's not like half the time you're doing that. It's just
Right.
those moments when you don't want to.
And the other thing is that, this is getting back to Sakina now. Anybody who really is a true friend, who's really on your side, wants you to take care of yourself.
Yes.
If they're keep trying to goad you into doing something after you've said you really don't want to, then is that somebody you want to be hanging out with?
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
just like your friends got used to it because they're truly your friends. They want to support you in living an authentic life, right? And so I think for any of us, when we make a commitment to being more authentic, true to ourselves in our lives, we will be attracting in people who are the same.
Yeah.
And it's okay if people fall away that are not used to doing that. They're just conditioned into a different way. You do things by obligation, and they might walk through life more stressed out because of it. And it's okay. We all have our own journey. It's not about changing anybody's mind. It's simply about being willing in the face of whatever you're met with, right? If somebody is disappointed, if they try to put you down for it, make whatever they might do in response, that's on them. It's about caring more about pleasing ourselves than about pleasing others.
Yeah. And knowing that by doing that, you will ultimately please others too, because we naturally in our hearts want to help people. We like helping people. We like doing nice things. We like going places. We like joining people. And so there's going to be plenty of times where you say yes when it's right for you, but otherwise it's okay to say no. And you're right. Like, anyone who's not okay with that, that's already a red flag that you should consider. And maybe that's not someone that you want to spend a lot of time with. It's an important thing to keep in mind. You want to surround yourself with people who will support you being your authentic self, even when that sometimes means you say no.
That's right. Oh, my girl's happy. Wait, I just have to flash on.
Oh, can we see?
See him? Wait, sorry. I'm trying to get the camera on her.
Oh, there she is.
Look at her
Hi,
lip.
baby.
Oh my God. She's like, come here. Come get your food.
Ready for dinner?
Oh, you ready for din Bubs? Look what Mama made you. Oh boy.
Good for her. She's surprised that you're able to do this while we're still on a stream, because usually you don't.
She's used to just like suffering, waiting.
Waiting.
So I knew maybe there was going to be a reason today for me to be a little more mobile. So thank you for letting me experiment here.
Thanks for letting us join you on that little chore. See, that's an example. It's a thing you have to do, but you found a way to just do it in flow. You did it while we were on the show together. So
it makes me happy. Yeah, it makes me really happy to be able to do that.
Yes. Okay. I love that.
Not that I'm generally in favor of multitasking, because I'm not, but
sometimes it just works though. It just flows.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've hit the top of the hour. I feel like we should wrap up here. Any last words for Artist's Way, or getting in touch with our inner creative?
Well, I guess I would just say, whether you are doing the Artist's Way or not, if you have any practice in your life that helps you move the energy out of your head and into an unfiltered place in you, wherever that is, if that's in your heart, if that's down into your gut, everyone's different, right? So I would say just engage with that part of yourself that's other than up here in the head space. And whether you like to surf or dance or go to comedy or be a comic, it's like, it's boundless, all the opportunities to just get unfiltered in our life, and just let yourself have that. Give yourself full permission. So those are my last
I
thoughts.
love it. Let's end with that. I think that's beautiful.
Okay.
Yes, tap
Okay.
into your creativity and do those things. Yeah.
Do those things.
Okay, well, let's see. Where can people find us? Starting with Sharon, where can we find you? At her website, SharonHoffmanLiving.com, where you can also get her free gift there, which is a free guided visualization. I've done it before. It's really effective in getting you in touch with yourself. It's kind of similar to how, the book guides you to your creativity. You kind of guide people to their inner self so they can sort of get more clarity on what they want and who they are and where they're going.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Am
Yeah,
I that's right? Is that how you would say it too?
it's totally how I would say it. Yeah. And I also just put a little plug in that I spoke at International Women's Day, a group of
That's
women.
right. I was going
Yeah.
to ask you, how'd that go?
Oh, it went really well. Yeah. And these women wanted to talk about confidence. So I talked about
Mm,
unstoppable confidence, how to get that. And that is by tapping into our inner wisdom. When we're lined up with who we are living that way, we don't even have to think about being confident. We just are, because it
mm,
feels so good to live in alignment with who we really are.
mm,
But I talked about more than that and did some interactive stuff. But, it gave me great pleasure to be in that room with all those incredible, I would say, trailblazing women, because they're in an industry with there's only 15% women in
mm,
financial services. And so they are there trying to shift the culture to be inclusive. And we just talked a lot about how they can support each other. So
mm.
I do public speaking as well as private coaching, but and of course I'm on Clubhouse and here with you, Chris, weekly. So very happy to be here. Yeah, if you go to SharonHoffmanLiving.com, you'll find all the information about Clubhouse, about all of it, the speaking, the coaching,
Yeah.
and
You're your own trailblazing woman too, by the way.
oh gosh, thank
You are. I mean, we're bringing up ideas here that are not. I mean, they're not. It's not uncommon. It's just not often talked about, and it's nice to have these reminders. And so,
you.
even just the idea. I have to let my cat out of the room. He's going crazy.
See, now when it comes down to it, the real beings that are in charge are our animals. And
It's
anybody
absolutely right.
who has them knows this, and
Yeah.
we don't care.
No. Yeah. Exactly. And they don't
I
either.
love
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Those
so
are free. Yes, those are free beings. They just do what they want, and we can learn a lot from
they're
them.
our best teachers, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. He says no to me all the time. Okay.
That's so
And
funny.
you can
And
find
yes,
me
Chris.
at my website, chrisnewt.com. I have coaching available if you want to do that. This is everything we talk about here on this live stream. And I also have a free EQ newsletter that you can sign up for free guidance and advice and just ways to think about how to understand your emotions so that you can use them to guide you in your life. That's all of self practice. You can absolutely do this as self practice. I followed a book and did my own self practice to find this. So this is very like take all these resources that we have for free and share insight and mine
Yeah.
and use them to your benefit however you want to. But for anyone who just has a hard time with that, if you struggle with accountability or you struggle with just needing more guidance or you're not someone who it doesn't feel easy to just do a self practice, that's what I have a community for. I have coaching for. You could check my website for that if that's something that interests you.
And I get Chris's cheat codes, and it's great because even if it's stuff that you already know, it's so great to get a reminder. And sometimes it's brand new stuff
Yes.
too. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's nice to have someone else just out in the world, other people, other voices like yours, like mine, like other people, like Julia Cameron's, like these voices that are just reminding us of what we know inside already. But sometimes it's just nice to hear from other people so that we can give
Sure.
ourselves permission to actually do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Well,
Well,
thank you for another great week together, Chris. It's always so
yes, this
fun.
was
I
really
always have fun
fun.
here. Yeah.
Yes, me too. Okay, so we will be back next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So check us out there. If you have any questions, if you're watching this on a replay and you have questions like Sakina did, feel free to ask those questions in the chat or in the comment sections, and we'll get to them in future episodes. And until then, enjoy your week and do something fun. Tap into your creativity in some way this week.
Have dessert first.
Have
You heard it
dessert
here.
first. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
All right, Sharon.
Okay.
See you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.